Welcome back to my series where I go over everything I feel is needed to create a perfect Garden Warfare 3. Previously, I went over each of the fundamental changes to the returning Garden Warfare 2 plants and zombies. So, if you want to know whether or not Super Brains can jump high or not in this game, or if Chomper keeps his back chomp, I suggest you check it out. In this part, I'll be going over some of the new variants for the returning plant classes, mainly using the Battle for Neighborville costumes as a baseline, as so many of them could have worked as their own variants. It's kind of disappointing, really. With that out of the way, let's get started! So, I'll go through each of the special attributes that the new characters get, so unless I don't explicitly mention a stat like health, speed, rate of fire, or the likes, it means that they'll stay the same as the base character. Beginning with the iconic pea shooter class, we have the legendary Future Crop. Equipped with futuristic technology and a cool visor, Future Crop's peas don't suffer from damage fall-off, hitting consistent 28s from across the map, at the cost of projectile speed and splash radius. As I mentioned, this will be a legendary character, so by getting a vanquish streak of 5, shared vanquishes included, you'll enter your legendary mode. While this is active, you'll get the usual faster movement speed and damage resistance, but instead of a damage boost, your shots become nearly hit scan, letting you easily snipe people. The other pea shooter variant is the Goo pea shooter from PvZ 2. The pea shooter will be a cloud on impact character, sort of. Instead of clouds, Goo pea shooter makes bubbling globs of sludge. This is just a cosmetic change, as they'll have the same properties as the regular damage clouds. The impact will do 22 damage at close range, going down to 16 at long range. The clouds do 3 damage every quarter of a second. Something that I failed to mention in the first video is that the 2 damage cloud upgrades are completely fine, and I didn't mean to exclude them from the list. So pretend I included them, okay? Anyways, going to the Chomper class next, we have the Chompy Mache. Unlike its Battle for Neighborville counterpart, this one won't be a legendary character. This Chomper will have the gimmick of exploding into candy when vanquished, dealing 50 damage to all enemies within a really small radius. Being a piñata, that also means that he'll be more frail than other Chompers, only having 125 health instead of 175. His projectile attack would be a candy spit that does 15 damage at a rate of fire of 60 rounds per minute. Next, we have the legendary Delivery Chomper. This Chomper sports a jetpack and a tasty pizza bite, dealing 35 damage at 90 rounds per minute, the same rate of Captain Deadbeard's shoot to his shotgun. His gimmick would be that he can use his own signature ability from the delivery missions. It would be a carbon copy of the soldier's rocket jump, meaning that this Chomper is best equipped for attacking zombies on rooftops, but at the cost of a lot of his damage output. He has no ranged attack, so he relies on his jetpack to get to zombies on high ground. His legendary mode is achieved by swallowing 5 enemies, and this makes him move much faster, gain a double jump, and 25% damage resistance for 25 seconds. Moving on to the Sunflowers, we have the Sunshine Rocketeer. This Sunflower has a boosted jump and a slower descent compared to other characters, so she can make it to much more difficult spots in order to heal and revive her companions. Contrarily, her projectiles have a harsh arc and more speed. She'll only have 35 ammo though, much less than other Sunflowers.
Huh?
The other Sunflower of note is the legendary Ginger Sunflower. Like Chompy Mache, this variant explodes upon being vanquished, but instead of a damaging candy explosion, Ginger Sunflower drops a load of healing Ginger Suns for allies to pick up. Like a reverse Stuffy Flower, if you will. This variant shoots underbaked gingerbread dough, which gives her the benefit of splash damage, dealing 4 splash damage in a small radius in exchange for firing rate, going down to 320 rounds per minute. Like all legendary characters, this flower enters her legendary mode at a streak of 5 vanquishes. When in her legendary mode, her projectiles gain an extra 3 splash damage and an increase in the splash radius. If she is vanquished in this state, she drops even more Ginger Sun. On top of that, there's the usual speed boost and damage resistance. Cactus is probably the easiest one here, as Citrus Cactus is a perfect candidate to come back unchanged, as the Cactus class lacks a burst fire character. If you're wondering why I didn't do the same with Berry Shooter or Chester Chomper, it's that his gimmick is an added splash is done to a degree with Rocky. Chester Chomper's gimmick is also present in the form of the digestion upgrade, and Dr. Chester is basically just a zoologist, but not as cheesy. Cacturaf is probably the strangest idea I've had for a variant, so hear me out. Cacturaf works like a regular cactus, but when you zoom in, she elongates to become much taller. This fits for me, as Cactus was already able to do this in the original Plants vs. Zombies tower defense game, and the giraffe costume just adds another layer to the quote-unquote logic of it. You can adjust her height by zooming out, as she'll shrink back down relatively slowly, and zooming in again freezes her at that current height. Okay, that was really weird, so if you think that was too much, please let me know. Colonel Corn gets the Ancient Grains variant, a Corn version of Tank Commander, with a bolt-action style weapon that does 60 damage on impact and a bunch of splash. This is to further push the Corn and Soldier connections. Plus, I think Tank Commander is a really fun character. Rapping Corn will make a return, and is going to be the Ice variant of Corn. He will have a firing rate of 400, the same as Mob Cobb, and does 7 damage at close range, going down to 4 at long range. His freezing rate will be a bit less than Arctic Trooper. Next, we have the Citron class, starring Chocotron. Starting with the most important change, he gets a pair of shades like the rest of his class. Anyways, he shoots big melted blobs of chocolate that scald enemies, setting them on fire. These blobs do 25 damage on impact at close range, going down to 10 at long range, and they have a tiny bit of splash damage. As you might have guessed, this is a projectile Citron as opposed to a beam Citron. So, he has 10 shots per clip and a reload of 2.3 seconds. They also have an arc at longer distances. Like Sunshine Rocketeer, we have Citronaut. He behaves like a regular Citron, but has an increased jump and slower falling. His beam also has a slower overheat, being able to fire for up to 5.5 seconds, but at the cost of having no splash damage. For the last class, Rose gets the legendary Celestial Beauty Rose. This variant uses BFN's Thorn Apart legendary upgrade as a built-in part of her kit. For those unfamiliar, Thorn Apart is a passive meter that slowly charges on its own, but you can speed it up by using your abilities. It has 5 charges, with each one giving you a 25 damage homing projectile that you can fire when you want to, but you lose the aiming. As for our primary weapon, it functions like a weaker version of the stock Rose, doing 2 less damage per shot and having 5 less ammo. Because this variant already has a passive effect, what about our legendary meter? It stays! This legendary meter has a unique charging condition of requiring 2 vanquishes by fully charged Thorn Apart attacks. While active, you get the normal speed and resistance, but your Thorn Apart attack gets to be charged 3 times as fast, and it has increased homing. Something neat to mention that doesn't affect gameplay is that when your legendary mode is active, you'll look more like the Astral Perfection Rose than Celestial Beauty, as the former is a reward for 100% completing our prize map in Battle for Neighborville. Hopefully I didn't create a monster here. For the other Rose, this one will probably seem much more peaceful in comparison to the last one. You see, that's the joke, as the next Rose variant we discussed, and the final variant of this video, is the Peace Rose. This Rose isn't as inclined on violence as the other Roses, so she uses her magic to provide a damage debuff to enemies. Because she's the exact opposite of Necrose, I inverted her homing range and her damage per shot to plug into Peace Rose, making them 54 and 5.6 damage respectively. The rest of her stats are the same, with reload, health, charge time, and everything else. As for how the damage debuff works, when applied, it decreases 25% of the damage the target deals for the next 7 seconds. I originally intended to make this video include all of the new variants for the returning classes, but this ended up being much longer than I would have liked, so I'll make the video for the zombies soon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, sorry for the wait, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later.